Hello, unstoppable real estate investors. I'm Rayana Starr, your host, your hostess. And on Fridays in my group, the Unstoppable Real Estate Investor, we have member spotlight. And this is this is your opportunity, if you're in this community, Unstoppable Real Estate Investor, for us to get to know you better. This is where I spotlight members, clients, and on Wednesdays, we talk to the experts, the top 5%ers, people that are crushing it and superstars in real estate investing. And on Fridays, we start with people who are newer to the business, people that are just starting to figure it out. And Ryan and Whitney are a couple of clients of mine, a husband and wife team. They just celebrated their first year in the business, and they are doing it right. Because what's really unique about Ryan and Whitney is that they started the business and treated it like a business from the beginning, setting up processes and systems, investing in their business and the infrastructure of it, and really got serious about that. And it has not been without its challenges. The marketing's been up and down. Now we're at a place where we want to automate it. But I wanted Ryan and Whitney to be guests on the show because they're really an inspiring example of, here they are just celebrating their first year. They've already closed a wholesale and just wrapped up their first rehab that came out phenomenal. They are the unicorn. They had the unicorn rehab. Their first rehab went perfectly, smoothly. And I told them, don't get used to that. But they had a great team. So I'm really excited to be introducing all of you and sharing this amazing couple with all of you, Whitney and Ryan Johnson. And I had a brain fart there. And we want to share their journey. So welcome, Whitney and Ryan. And I just wanted to, have you each tell your story of what you were doing before you became real estate investors.
Okay.
So Whitney, you start.
I was working for construction company, commercial construction company, pulling in 60 or 80-hour weeks. 60 was minimum, 80 was typical.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
And
wow.
I was actually flying back and forth because the company was in Utah. We lived in North Carolina. So I spent 2 weeks in Utah, 2 weeks in North Carolina. And I did that for about a year and a half, that schedule. I worked for the company 5 years, but that schedule for about a year and a half. And I was just completely burned out. I burned myself down to the ground. I was in tears all the time because I just was so exhausted and worn out, and was needing some sort of change where I felt like I had a little bit of control over my own life.
And so you guys did this together, but pause. And now, Ryan, I've heard your story a few times, but give us your journey up to that point, and then we'll talk about how you guys chose to do real estate together. Hey, Rose Lopez, Mike Valdez, Barb Main. It's good to have everybody here. Kathy Thornburg, I see you. Awesome. Yeah.
So I was working in the wonderful sport of NASCAR. I was working for an apparel company and helping to run that. And I was told that I was going to acquire part ownership of this company. And then COVID hit and things changed quite a bit. And so when that happened, the ownership part of it was kind of pulled from me. And when Whitney was burned out, and in December, she was laid off. And so we decided to try to do something together. And when she was laid off, I said, don't just rush into another job. Let's find something that we can do together, find something that, we can team up on because the kids are leaving the house, the nest is getting empty. Let's do something together.
Yeah, and you guys are Fortune Builder students, aren't you?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, so how you're looking for something, you want to do something together. Did you see a radio or a TV ad and you went to the 3-day event? How did you guys join up with Fortune Builders?
So Ryan had been looking at, I'm guessing TikToks, YouTubes, some social media about real estate investing. And I wasn't so sure because I had gotten out and gotten a job just for the meantime. And so I wasn't 100% sold. And I saw an ad for the Fortune Builders 1-day thing. And I'm like, well, this is kind of what he's been talking about, I think. Let's go check it out.
Oh,
And
for
so
the
that's
one
how-
day. Okay.
We just went to the 1-day one at first,
Yeah.
then signed up for the 3-day one.
Right.
And while we were there, we decided that if we were going to do it, we wanted to do it right with education first and a business and not just wing it by watching YouTube videos. So we
Okay.
decided to make an investment, and we did that with Fortune Builders for our education.
And how far into that were you when we met?
We had just gone to Orlando.
Was that your first boot camp?
Yeah, in September of last year. And then we met JJ, who you were on one of his deals.
That's how we met. I did a
That's how we
talk.
met,
in
yeah.
Children's group. Okay.
Yeah, so it's probably October, November when we met.
So you had invested all this money in Fortune Builders. You'd gone to a boot camp. You see me talking in JJ's group. What was it about what I said that got you interested in working with me?
Well, we were actually in JJ's group. You and I ended up in a break-off group, the smaller conversations, and you were just so present, like speaking to each person, and you immediately like gave out your cell phone number. And because we lived in North Carolina, you said, hey, text me, we'll go to lunch. And you were just so there, so like ready to be present and be helpful rather than just, hey, I'm a guest speaker, this is my information, good luck, you know?
Yeah, and then you guys signed up for you were going to sign up for coaching, and then I talked about the boot camp that we did at the
Right.
beginning of the year. We ran these 3 Unstoppable Real Estate Investor Boot Camp. And I remember you signed up for the coaching and I threw the boot camp in for free, and we started with the boot camp.
Mhm.
So why you spent all this money on Fortune Builders? What was missing? Why did you need me?
We were missing, it's a great education program. It shows,
It is. I used to work.
Gives you a great foundation, a great start, but there's little things that we were missing to just connect the dots. So we wanted someone to help us connect those dots and really be able to take our business and run it. And
Were you having a hard time? Because this is pretty common, I've noticed. Like you do get a phenomenal education. I worked at Fortune Builders for 5 years, and they are, as far as education goes, the fundamentals, it's phenomenal. And do you mean connecting the dots, meaning it was hard to take what you were learning and actually put it into practice and implement it?
Yep, it was, I was taking the education and implementing it into a working business. Like the steps to actually take that education and use it as a business.
Apply it.
It was the
Right.
application of it that, we
Okay.
felt we didn't know how to do.
Okay. But what I did notice when we started working together, and it started with the boot camp, and then we started doing the one-on-ones. So we worked together for that 2.5, 3 months in a group environment, small, 10 people, 13 people,
Mhm.
something like that. That you guys came into it with a business mindset. And I'm bringing this up because this makes you unique. there's a lot of real estate investors, people that get into real estate investing as a side hustle. They don't get into it as a business at first. It's like for my retirement, it's because I want to buy some rentals. Oh, I think rehabbing houses would be cool. It's a side hustle or a hobby for them. What impressed me about you guys that I noticed right away is you came into it like, this is our business. We're treating it like a business. We're approaching it like that. And we've got an office. And talk a little bit about that. Like getting this, your mindset, this setup of it as a business.
Well, so we had owned a few businesses before, and our very first business was not run like a business. We ran it like
It was a fun project.
Yeah, it was a fun project.
Yeah.
And we learned very quickly that does not work.
It's not going to make you money.
No,
Yeah.
It was really fun, but
Yeah.
it didn't make, it caused more headaches than it did income. So,
By the way, Christian Weatherspoon's watching.
oh, Chris.
Hey, Christian, sending you some love. Love it when you show up here. Yeah.
Those guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris.
Chris and Chris.
So just a quick little plug, Christian Weatherspoon and his partner, Chris Deal, they do mega deals, but one of the things they do is help, especially newer investors with their marketing. They have a whole marketing system, and Whitney and Ryan worked with them for a while, and they really got them up and running. And while you were in the setup stages, Christian and Chris, their company is Real Estate Investor Made Easy. They really helped Whitney and Ryan understand how to set up a marketing system and how to do the lead generation and get that whole main part of their business going on my recommendation. The thing that's great about the Chris's, we call them, is that they drink their own Kool-Aid and eat their own dog food. Like that's how they generate their leads. And they thought, well, this thing works, might as well help other people with it. So nice seeing you, Christian. It's always good to see you here. So go ahead, keep going.
Well, part of why it took us, we started Fortune Builders in March.
Pandemic, right when the pandemic.
Well,
hit.
yeah, then too. But at first we were both working our jobs full time, and we set everything up right, but we did not have the right mindset. And so when we decided this isn't working, we're gonna not necessarily recommended for everybody, but we decided to take a leap of faith, and we both quit our jobs and moved across the country to be with family. But just that's when we were like, okay, we sold our house and we used the profits from that to make sure we were out of debt and could set up an office and could pay for marketing. And we just put all of it into our business. And that's when we decided, okay, this is our jobs. This is our business. This is what we're going to do. And we're just jumping in the deep end.
And that's stressful.
Holding our breath.
Looking back on that decision now, knowing what you know now, you've got a wholesale under your belt. And we're going to talk about that. Your first rehab couldn't have gone any better. And what you produced was incredible. It was beautiful. We'll talk about that in a minute. But looking back on that one decision that you made, like we're all in, we're burning the bridge. There's no turning back. If you had knowing what you know now, and you were to advise yourselves a year ago, would you still have done that?
For sure.
100%.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But it came with some stress, right?
It
For
did.
sure.
Yeah.
But it changed our whole mindset. It was like you said, it's sink or swim. That was our choice.
So what was it about your mindset being all in? Because I think a lot of people are terrified to do that. What is it about that decision? Like it changed your mindset? I would say it transformed your molecules in a way.
Yeah.
Because look at how you're operating now. I mean, it wasn't easy. You guys had fears and things you had to figure out. But what was it about that decision? What did that do to you?
It took the safety net out from under us. We knew we wanted to run this like a business. So we had done all the setup to run it like a business. The only thing that wasn't happening was we weren't putting in the right amount of work. And the only way for us to do that was to step away, to take out that safety net and just go all in.
Okay. So you go all in, you've invested in a great education with Fortune Builders. We find each other, you're realizing we need someone who's going to kick our ass and make us do stuff. And so you hire me as your coach and I throw in the boot camp. So we start with the group. What did the boot camp do for you? Specifically, not a plug for the boot camp, but what was it that you got out of that made a difference in your business?
I think the connections with other people, hearing other stories, other concerns, and thinking, oh, I'm not alone. Especially on one session that we had when I completely broke down emotionally and was totally embarrassed. But so many people reached out and said, I get what you're feeling. I get that. I understand you're brave for doing this. It just made me think, oh, okay, I'm not a complete, failure, and I'm not the only one going through this. And because it's an emotional roller coaster too.
Yeah, you have
you
had camaraderie while
yeah.
you were vulnerable. And I remember that it was early on and you were so uncomfortable and I wasn't going to let it go because that was your biggest breakthrough.
Yeah.
Right. And we still work on that, like
Yes.
Mondays, your Monday mornings,
Yep.
Yeah. So the breakthrough, talk a little bit about that if you're okay with that. Like, what was the thing that we were dealing with back then? Because that's been your biggest transformation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I still had the 80-hour a week. That's how you have to succeed. I still had that mindset from.
And what was that mindset costing you?
My family. We moved back to Utah to be closer to our children and my mom who's sick, and I was still not seeing them. My kids were asking me why I was always working and why did I bother coming back, and they were really brutal. They're adults now, but young adults, but they were really kind of brutal about it. Like, why did you bother? You're never, even if you're physically here, you're not mentally and emotionally present for us. And so it was breaking my heart, and I didn't know how to fix it and not give up on him or feel like I was, falling short in our business. And you and Michael, but you helped me see that, it's okay to not work 80 hours a week. I need to put in what
and it was getting you see what it was costing you.
Yeah. And my relationship with my kids was most important. And it's so much better. My daughter and I are going gnome hunting after this. Not sure what that is, but we're going to go and I'll figure out what we're going to do later.
Continued to work on that with you, right? Like talk about Monday mornings.
So I get to take Monday mornings off and do whatever I need to do, whether it's laundry or sit in bed and read, whatever I feel like is causing me anxiety or stress. I get to just guilt-free Monday mornings. I don't have to work.
And why are we taking Monday mornings off?
Because I was stressed out and overworking and breaking down more and more.
So and you weren't effective on Mondays at all, right?
Yeah.
All this guilt and stress, and you weren't effective. How are your Monday afternoons now?
Much more effective. When I get there, sometimes I get all of Monday off, depending on what.
And what does that do for you the rest of the week?
It makes it better. I don't have to feel bad that I have things I can help my mom with her chemo. We schedule it on Mondays, and I'm not.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about your mom, that the cancer's back. I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, thank you. We're fighting it again, but I can be more than just a co-owner of this business. And there's no guilt. I have time for all the people that I need to be, all the hats I have to wear. I can do it.
And what I love about that is that you and Ryan truly are a partnership. Like, you were feeling guilty, but it had nothing to do with him. He wasn't making you feel, he's just like a happy wife, happy life. Do what you got to do, babe. Right.
Yeah.
So, you having that leeway and working through it, and still giving yourself permission. So there's a point here, pause for commercial break. Now, pause is, this is something, there is really two extremes that I see in people in this business. They're either not doing enough, which is the majority. They're for whatever reason, they don't have a strong work ethic. They're not organized. They don't know how to manage their time. There's no accountability. That's the majority. But then there's the few that are going to kill themselves and put unrealistic expectations on themselves and think that they've got to do it all. And they're stressed out. And I'm here to say, the success, the power, the life that you want is in the middle. You don't have to kill yourself to be successful in this business. You just have to be consistent in taking small, consistent actions every day, get a plan together. I think that's why so many people hire coaches, is because it's just having someone you're checking in with who's laying out the plan and holding you to it. How many times, Ryan, have we had to have the conversation like, how's the marketing going? Well, and had you not had that, you wouldn't have kept plugging away and figuring it out. And now we're going to delegate it out. So you don't have to kill yourself to be successful in this business. You just have to be consistent about revenue generating activities. So let's talk about the, setting up shop, the marketing, getting your first wholesale. Ryan, I want you to talk a little bit about, you got your real estate license, why you did that. Let's move into that little piece of the story.
So what you just brought up with the consistency and doing those day-to-day things, that was the biggest thing I got out of the boot camp. Was, yes, we had set up the business to do business, but I wasn't doing the small day-to-day income generating activities on the daily basis to make it all work. So that's the biggest thing I got out of the boot camp. But as far as for
because I just kept cracking that whip, didn't I? I laughed from the first boot camp to the third one, and then I stopped him in June because I was just burnt out. How I had softened a bit, but I still kept cracking the whip. But I remember I scared people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. And now I try not to scare people too much, but every now and then we all do, even I do, need someone saying, look, it's time to get off your ass and get moving. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. All right.
We had the weekly KPI accountability where we had to share what we had done. And I didn't want to let myself down, but anybody else. And I got to do this.
So talk about getting the real estate license, and then let's talk about the marketing. And I referred you to Chris and Christian at Real Estate Investing Made Easy. Let's talk about that, because we got you going on that while you were in the boot camp. You're like, yeah, all right, we're in this. It's a business. Okay, we got to get our marketing machine going. But before you do, talk about the real estate license, why you got that.
So I got the real estate license just as a help. One, so that if we came across the deal while we're doing our marketing, that I wasn't losing money by giving it away to an agent, that we had that referral fee. that was
And
my
another
part
source
it.
of income, like if you
Yeah.
wanted to, you could go retail on something.
Yeah, or when
Yeah.
we do our first rehab, we can list it, which is what we've done with our first rehab. Is I'm the agent. We're co-listing it with our partners. She's an agent as well, so it works out good because we're keeping that money with us.
In the family, right?
Yeah.
All right,
Keep
so
it in the
talk
deal.
about, we're in the boot camp. I'm cracking the whip on, look, you got to build habits and routines around revenue generating activities. Marketing is the heart of the business. You know, is this bringing up nightmares for you? Remember all that? Yeah.
No.
So I referred several people from my boot camps to Chris and Christian. So talk a little bit about that and what you learned about how important marketing is and what that did for you in your business and your mindset.
Well, we had learned that marketing was very important. I mean, you can't really do a deal if you're not making the calls, if you're not, touching those people to get in touch with them. I know that was wrong. So seeing the value of the Chris and Chris's, where they would go and do that work for me, and I could just not sit back, but I was busy doing other things that I didn't have time to make the calls to do.
Yeah, because you delegated that to a team of very competent people who did the marketing for you. But also, didn't they teach you a lot? Like when you're talking to Christian and Chris, weren't they coaching you through the nuances? So they weren't just generating leads for you. And what I love about referring clients to them is that they're coaching you on the same things I'm coaching you on, but from different points of view. And so you're getting, everybody's on the same page and it's important. So what specifically, besides the general, marketing's important, what did you learn about marketing as a system in this business?
Well, we learned that we definitely needed it. But when we were talking with the Chris's and what we were learning from them was the little things that I didn't know, such as when we're following up on their leads, kind of how to talk to those people, how to set them up so that they were ready when we went out to go meet with them. They were ready and had it in their mind that, hey, I'm going to sign something with them. It wasn't just, okay, I'm going to come out and then we'll maybe discuss this and maybe
you developed skills, right? You learned the skill of the importance of a CRM, the importance of setting up campaigns, the importance of consistency, the importance of lead management. And then Chris Steele, who's phenomenal at sales, helping you and me too, helping you with refining, getting comfortable talking to sellers and tracking all that and using your marketing system, staying on top of leads, how to move them through the pipeline. All of that you learned.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Absolutely.
And what I thought was great about the Chris's was when our lists weren't what we needed, they were right there going, okay, let's see how we can tweak
They're
this.
always
We will do
refining.
they were trying to always tweak the list so that they were really, they seemed like partners. They wanted to make sure we were successful, that we were getting the leads that we needed from them. I was really impressed with that.
Because we were in a difficult market where we were looking at other markets and they're going, this is the kind of output that we're getting from these other markets. And this is where we're at with you. Maybe we need to tweak your program. There's things we need to do. There's things that, we can do.
They're always willing. And this is just good business practice that a lot of people, entrepreneurs, not just real estate investors, but entrepreneurs in general, don't realize is important, is that you're always refining. And Christian's a master at that. Chris is the people sales guy, influencing, persuading, selling, but Christian is the back end. He's the guy, he's Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, pulling all the levers. And he's always refining. And I would be calling him like, dude, this isn't working or whatever. He's like, yeah, and he was always, they're always receptive to how can we make it better? They're always refining. We all need to do that in business. So we get into the marketing, we're generating leads. There were those good days and bad days, good weeks and bad weeks, like the roller coaster ride, right? Like, wow, we're putting out all this money and time, and is it going to happen? All the doubt and worry. And then what happens? Let's talk about the wholesale.
Well, then we went to Europe.
Then they went to Europe and they were like different people. Their faces actually looked different. They actually went and took a vacation, and they came back and they were completely renewed. I'm a big fan of that. And they were like regenerated. And now they were ready to hit the ground running. Yeah.
But Ryan
I
had
said,
set
you
the
guys need
wholesale
to
up.
take more vacations.
Yeah. He had set the wholesale in motion before we left, and we came home and it was done and we had a check. So
That was the other trip.
oh, okay.
But no, when we got back from Europe, and yeah, we were regenerated, we were renewed. It's like, okay, we reset.
Yeah, then
our
3
mind.
weeks later, you went on another trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back-to-back vacations. I'm like, vacations are good for you guys. Good things
They
happen
worked out.
on vacations with you too.
Yeah.
So
One of those trips we had planned and had paid for back in 2020, and then COVID hit and that pushed it off 2 years. But we got the lead from the Chris's, and I went in there, and she was a real nice lady. But I didn't even try to sell her. I just went in there and tried to create rapport and talk to her and really find out what was important for her and what she needed. And it wasn't even about the deal. It was just, how can I help you?
pause right there. Freeze frame, right, Christian? Freeze frame. That's it. You're not selling, you're buying actually.
Mhm.
And it is, and so many people, Christian, back me up on this. So many real estate investors have just a real hang up about talking to sellers. And they're just like, it's a skill. And all it is connecting with another human being who needs your help and finding out what's wrong and how you can help. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's that simple. Like, have it be about them and how you can help them. So go ahead, Ryan, keep going.
Yeah. So we got to the end and I said, okay, well, here's what we can offer you. And she kind of looked disappointed, and I knew she was talking to another group, but I didn't know she already had their offer. And had I known she already had their offer, some of my questions would have been different, but I gave her my offer and she said, well, that's about 15 grand less than this other group is giving me. And I said, well, I mean, we can maybe look at our numbers again, but if I could change those numbers a little bit, would you be willing to look at it? And she said, well, if you can get closer, I'd much rather deal with you. They just don't seem to have my interest.
All right. So pause there. Christian is really active today. I love it. He said, yes, because real estate is not a property business as much as it is a people business.
For sure.
Absolutely, Christian. Yeah. And Ryan, you're just so genuine and sincere, and you're both such good people. And you're not going to feel good having a business where you're not helping people. So what happened then? She's telling you, I want to work with you if you could just get closer. So what did you do? How did you get the deal?
So we went back and looked at the numbers, and we said, well, we can't do the full 15,000, but we can come up 8 grand. We can come up just past halfway. And so she decided to go with us. And even though
another point, she did not take the highest offer.
Yeah.
She took the offer from the people she knew, liked, and trusted more. She wanted to do business with them because of how you were with her. It
Yeah.
wasn't about the property or the money or the deal. It was you about trying to help her. Very valuable, very valuable. Keep going.
Yeah. Oh,
This
for
is
sure.
awesome.
And so when we were doing our numbers, we thought there's, this is going to be a skinny deal, but we're going to try to help her anyway. Because even if we don't end up with a lot of money on this deal, it's a learning experience and we get to help somebody.
That was another thing about you guys is the humility and, well, it's a learning experience, and that you were fearless. Well, maybe you weren't fearless. Maybe you had a lot of fear and you were courageous. Okay. So that's such a great attitude. Like, you weren't gunning for top dollar going into that deal or coming out of it. It's just like, we just want to get our first deal under our belt and help someone and go through the process and learn something. I love that. So
Yeah.
how did it work out?
So we signed her for a little longer period, because we wanted to try to market it on ourselves, and we just weren't sure if our group of buyers was strong enough. And after a week of marketing it to our buyers, we just weren't getting any bites. So there's another local wholesaler here in our area, who does a ton of deals. And we had talked to him several times, and we went to him and said, hey, how about JVing with us on this deal, trying to get this sold? And he said, well, we can send it out to our buyers list and we'll take 30% if you sell it. I said, okay, let's do it, because I want to get this sold. I don't want to have to.
I'm amazed he only took 30%, because usually they'll take 50. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That was
So
a nice human being right there. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to let this lady down. And so, yeah, let's do it. And they sent it out, and within 24 hours, we had an offer and was signed to send it.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah.
And
that must have felt so good.
Yeah. And we had
Your
expected,
first deal.
Yeah, first deal. And we had expected that we would make about $6,000 total if we sold it on our own. And partnering with the partner, we were able to sell the deal for $13,000, and we made that less 30%.
So you made about what?
It was eight
$8,000,
five,
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not too bad for your first deal.
No.
And it was more than we had originally expected anyway. So we were happy campers.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's JVing with someone. So then we get our first paycheck. How exciting. Now, how long was it before you guys found the rehab property?
So the rehab property, we had gone through it before we went to Europe, and we had made an offer, and it was about $100,000 less than what they were asking for. And they said, no, that's way too low. And I said, well, I just laid it out on the table for them. I said, this is what we have to do in order to make money, because this is how much it's going to cost us if I buy it.
You were completely transparent about your analysis of the deal, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And how did they respond to that?
They're like, well, I see that. I appreciate that, but we just can't go that low.
All right. But did they give you a hard time because you wanted to make a certain amount of money on the deal? No, right?
No.
You were transparent with your numbers. You gave them the logic behind your offer.
Yep.
Okay. Keep going.
So we went to Europe, and then we came back. We got the wholesale under contract. And then that next Monday, we got a call and said, hey, are you still interested in that deal? And I said, yeah. I said, I'd have to just readjust or look at the numbers again, because the market's changing just a little bit. So we looked at the numbers, and we actually had to offer even less than we originally offered. So we had gone in and offered, we had offered,
It really takes balls and breasts to do this business, doesn't it? It really
Yeah.
does, because that's hard to go in and offer more than 100 grand under asking and not worry about them going, what do you, what? And then to justify it, and
Yeah.
now they're coming back and saying, well, and you're like, what? So what was that like?
So we had offered 535 originally, and he came back and I said, well, the way that the market's dipping, I can only offer you 500. And he's just like, oh, you're killing me.
Dude, you're killing me. Yeah.
And he said, well, what if we did 525? And I'm like, I can't go up 25. So he went and talked to his sellers. The sellers came back and they said, can you do 515? I'm like, okay, let's, we kind of looked at the numbers again. We're like, yeah, that's possible. So we ended up picking that one up for 515. So which
Okay.
was 100 and something less
And you
than.
did this deal. Talk about your team on this deal. How you the funding, you've got a hard money lender on it. Your brother was the hard money lender, and he's also an equity partner. So is your contractor. Talk about the team.
Yeah. So we got an interesting team here. So we have a contractor who's a part of our team, and he had a really good connection with a couple hard money lenders. And he's like, I already got it set up. We can go in. It's no big deal.
So your
like,
contractor brought you the hard money lender.
brought us the hard money. And then he's like, all we need is the 20% down and then some rehab funds. So I went to my brother, who we had been talking for 6 months, saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. He was selling real estate. He had been in real estate for 8 years. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, I've been in real estate for 8 years, but I've never known how this side of it works. So I'm really interested. So I called him up. I said, hey, we got a deal. Would you be willing to come in as our second and do our gap funding? And he said, absolutely. What do you need? And so he came on as an equity partner because we wanted to learn together. And it's all about helping people. I mean, we want to make this a business. We want to make money, but it's all about creating relationships.
Well, he'd been curious about that part of the business. You opened the door to opportunity for him. He helped you feel possible. The contractor finds the hard money lender. How was the process? Because I think you guys, you were behind on when you wanted to be done by like a week. I mean, it couldn't have gone any smoother. So let's talk about two things. Let's talk about how it worked with you guys flowing together, and a little bit about what we were talking about on our coaching call last week, Ryan, about what you learned and what you would do differently. But talk about the flow, because this was the unicorn rehab. It couldn't have gone more perfectly and smoothly. They didn't find any, uh-ohs. They didn't have a contractor issue. So talk a little bit about that. And is this a team that's going to keep doing deals together?
Yeah, I definitely think this is a team that could keep doing deals together. If we do it again, there'll just be a couple of things that we do differently. But this one, because I'd helped find the deal, but I didn't have any money. I didn't have any skin in the game. I didn't have anything. So my part of this deal was that I would act as the PM. I would help. Of course, the general contractor had his guys and he would basically share all of his contacts with me, but I had to make the phone calls. So it was really super easy.
And be the gopher.
Yeah, and
you learned, right? You learned a lot. This was your first rehab. So doing that really worked in this case, but you probably will do that a little differently too, right?
For sure. I mean,
Yeah.
being PM does not mean being the gopher, but there was a lot of things I didn't know, and they would start talking about things and, oh, we need this. And I didn't know what that was. And so I'm like, okay, I'll go get it. And I'd go to Home Depot or Lowe's, and I'd be walking around for an hour and a half asking people, and they'd be like, I don't know what that is. So I'd have to call them back, and I said, what is this? Like, did you send me to go get blinker fluid? I mean, everybody's looking at me like I've got two heads, and they're like, oh, all it is this. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So then
you
it was
learned a lot, and you were
but
willing to be humble, and
yeah,
go through the paces. So
I didn't know the lingo.
right. So what, everything flowed. So let's talk about what worked on this rehab, and then let's talk about what didn't work and what you'll do differently. So what worked?
The majority of this stuff worked. One of the biggest things for us was my wife coming from the the commercial construction and doing the numbers and doing the draws, and her not having control of that was a big stress. And so if we were to do that again, we would want to be in charge of.
Yeah, because Whitney's
money,
in
the
charge of
draws.
operations, and
Yeah.
and she's more observing and noticing. And you don't want to get to the end of a rehab project and have no idea what's going on in the numbers. And Whitney was wanting to get ahead of that before the end of the project and stay on top of it. So what did you guys learn about what working together? Because, that was a big, there was a little dancing to do between you two, wasn't there?
I think that was the thing we do differently on another rehab, because it just the way it was set up, which was how it had to be, and it worked out great to be able to do it. But I felt like I wasn't really involved. Because the other guy, they were in charge of the finances and this, and like Ryan said, that was hard for me, because he would say, I'm like, have you put in a draw? Has this happened? Has this happened? And I think next time we would make sure that we were both fully involved in the rehab, because it really did feel like he was gone constantly doing a rehab, and I got to go see what was happening sometimes. Like, not like a business partner, like a wife who, ooh, look at the fun project you're doing. And that got to me a bit because we're partners, but I just didn't feel like there's a place for me, and there just wasn't in this job. So I think that's one thing that we'll be conscious of as we're setting up any partnership, that we go together, that it's both of us. It's not just Ryan can do this. We need to work as a team, but it is good that we could,
and also
different ways.
Just roles and responsibilities, and really, again, knowing that you are partners on a team together. And we've worked a lot on that, on the communication and on the definition of roles and responsibilities, and how important that is, because you have each other's back. Yeah. And so, Ryan, we talked a little bit about what you would do differently as the PM, the project manager. Share about that.
Well, I would definitely not be the gopher again. That just took up way too much time. There was days where I would spend the entire day running between 3 or 4 Lowe's and a couple Home Depots and all the different flooring places. It just took way too much time.
But also your interaction with the laborers, the subcontractors, and the contractors. That's the piece I want you to hit on. Yeah.
So being upfront and more involved in the project, so that the subs know that I'm the owner, I'm the one in charge. You need to listen to me. You need to, because this one was really hard, because the contractor was their boss, but then you've got me coming in trying to act as the PM, and I'd tell them one thing, and if they didn't really like it.
All right, so what's the
contractor?
What were we talking about last week?
So the PM is the one that's in charge.
Owner, PM, contractor, subcontractors.
Yeah. So that's definitely something I've learned, and will take
Respect, man, respect.
respect me. Come on,
All
bro.
right, so I've got a coaching call coming up here, so I've got to wrap up. But all right, so now what's the house listed for? And you guys who are on here, please scroll through and look for their post on this property. It is breathtakingly beautiful.
Beautiful.
It had good bones, but I remember when you first got it and you were doing a little video tour with me, it was just like an empty shell. It was right. There was really, it wasn't terrible, but it was just like nothing great.
Yeah.
And now it's literally spectacular. I would buy that house and live in it. So what did you list it for?
Yeah, there was no life to the house when we originally bought it.
It had no personality. Yeah.
Yeah. So we went back and forth quite a bit on what we were going to list it for. And we finally ended up listing it for $750. And
how's it been going? You've had it on the market for a week, maybe, has it been? Something
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
1 week.
One week. And we've had an average of 4 showings a day. Even in this crazy slow market, we've had 4 showings a day. We've had an open house last Saturday that was one of the busiest open houses I've ever seen. It was just a steady stream of people. I didn't even get to talk to everybody that went in. We're doing another open house tomorrow, but
no offers yet.
No offers yet, but we've had several people come through multiple times. We had a buyer that came through for his 3rd time yesterday. So I feel like we're getting really close.
It's only been a week.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So we've gotten spoiled being in a very aggressive seller's market for a long time. Okay.
Yeah.
And 1 week on the market with all that activity and someone coming through 3 times, you guys are going to have an offer. You're going to have an offer by next week. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
You know, and when you look at average days on market being like in my area, I was looking at the market trends and it depends on the price point, but it's somewhere between 14 and 30 days. And on outside on the lower end, not the higher end, which surprised me, they might be on there a little longer. But I mean, and back before this kind of aggressive seller's market, a property being on the market for 2 or 3 months or a few months was normal. So we've gotten spoiled. So you don't have anything to be concerned about because the activity is showing that people are interested. It's just getting that right buyer in there.
Yeah. And the average days on market for our county right now is 28 days. So
okay.
We're not
so
worried
you've got
about
21 more days before you decide. Okay. I am so proud of you guys and happy for you. And, you know, so now it's ramping the marketing back up and it's finding the next one, right?
Yep.
That's what's next, right?
Yep.
So guys, if you had a rooftop message that you would shout from the rooftops for all new real estate investors in their first year or 2, or someone who hasn't gotten a deal yet, and you wanted to give them hope, what would your advice be to them?
I knew you'd look at me.
My advice to them is, you know, when we joined Fortune Builders, they said, build your team and, you know, get agents, get the contractors, get those people around you. And that's very true. But getting your team together also includes like coaching, getting the people that can help you and teach you just kind of those little things that you don't know. And as far as your team, you know, maybe getting a local mentor, somebody who's already doing it that is willing to help you out. Because I mean, both of these deals that we have, there's so many people that we could thank and so many people that were involved in both of them to help us get the deal, to sell the deal. We couldn't have done it on our own. You don't do it on your own. Don't try to do it on your own.
No one succeeds alone. We all need support and help from others. Christian has posted the link to your listing
Oh,
in the comments. So right on, Christian.
Thanks.
Christian, it's been awesome having you here. Also, Allison Ware, Kathy Thornburg, Rachel, Naomi Exo, Joycelyn Bonzen. I'm gonna not even try Joycelyn, sorry. Bob Boren, Rose Lopez, Kareem Mir, Michelle Madera, John Tesh, let's see, Dwayne Kidman, and Ann Senadella. And if I missed anybody, I'm sorry, but thank you. Joshua Buckner, Mike Valdez, Barb Main. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and supporting us on this. So every Wednesday, we have a podcast that features top 5% experts in the real estate investment industry. But on Fridays, if you're in my group, Unstoppable Real Estate Investor, and you would like me to spotlight you as a member and just talk about where you're at, this podcast isn't for you to come in and impress people. It's talking about where you're at right now and what your process is, and also for you to just get out there and be known, for people to see you in this community. Please reach out to me in a DM on Facebook and let me know if you're interested in being scheduled as a Spotlight member for this podcast. It's every Friday at noon Eastern. I would love to have you. I want to get to know, this is my gift to the community, to get you visible and help you do that. And if you're a little shy, I can kind of usher that in through this podcast and this interview. So Ryan and Whitney, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up? It was just a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you for everything you've done for us.
Yeah, no, thank you to you, to Michael, to the Chris's. I mean, to just everybody that's helped us. We couldn't have done it alone. And that's all
We're grateful. We're humble, and we're grateful.
All right. I love it. Thanks, guys. And we'll touch base regarding next week. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us on the Unstoppable Real Estate Investor podcast, spotlighting members, Ryan and Whitney Johnson. Bye, everybody.